Hey guys, Troy Dooley here with Troy's Morning Coffee Reflections, except that it's in the middle of the afternoon. It has been a crazy day. Went down to the beach with my wife, and I tell you, we have a blast when we do that. And I said, look, it's about noontime. I've been busy all morning long. Let's just roll. And that's what we did. So we had a good time. Hey, no Buzz Coffee shirt on, but I do want to remind y'all, man, Buzz Coffee. But what's more important is if you're in the home-based business arena, then tomorrow morning you need to listen to Tom Chenault's Home-Based Business Radio Show. It's phenomenal. Today we're on principle number 3 of Revolutionary Communicator. 7 principles Jesus lived to impact, connect, and lead. And I tell you, it's great because this one, it just goes along with what we're doing on Radio for Your Mind. This one here is Ask Questions, How to Start a Revolution. And every chapter starts out with, in the media age, we assume that when questions are asked, we must deliver the right answer. In every age, the truth is, when you want to deliver the right answers, ask the right questions. See, Jesus was constantly asking questions. I think that's why they say that he started a revolution. I think that's why the Roman Empire was really whacked out, is because here's a guy that nobody had ever heard of. People were calling him the Messiah. They were saying he's gonna overthrow Caesar, you know. Pontius Pilate didn't know what to do. Herod didn't know what to do. So when you look at stuff like that, you realize, man, he was asking some questions. And this is one of the things that the guys write in here. And this book, by all means, is written by Jed Medfine and Eric Loxo. You can check it out. Go get it. Just go, The Revolutionary Communicator. It's powerful. But here's what they write, and I think this is good. Great communicators understand that well-formed questions wield as a battle horn. They start out as a soft and low, you know, and you've heard it in all the epic adventures that are out there. But then they start to echo, and they start to get louder and louder, and they start going through the mind, and they go directly to the heart. And those questions start to permeate, and they start to cause you to wonder, to think, hey, is there something different out there? That's the key. It says revolutions begin when someone asks a question. And Jesus was constantly, every time he was put on the spot, he would ask an additional question. You know, he didn't have this gigantic degree. He didn't have all this stuff that everybody thinks they have to have in order to tell the story. He just had himself. He sits there and he'd ask questions. And I think that's the key, and that's what we have to remember. You know, and this is something that they write, and I love this. It said, Jesus, who stood at the heart of Western philosophy 2,400 years ago, built his influence almost entirely upon conversations crafted by a single tool, the question. See, I think that's what we all have to talk about. If we want to communicate, if we want to connect at a heart level, at a deep emotional level with people, we have to ask the right questions. When we ask the right questions, all of a sudden it makes us think, it makes us ponder, it makes us go back and look at what our belief system is. And that's what makes us move forward. It's basically a tipping point. And when there's a tipping point in our lives, we start to say, what do we need to change? What do we need to do to be better? It's not about being an expert. It's not about being the best. It's not about knowing more than anybody else. It's about knowing in our heart that we're asking the right questions to our audience, that we're moving it in a direction that it needs to go. That's the key. Modern communicators, I think, are driven by assertions. I catch myself doing this sometimes. You know, I do a lot of different videos, pro and con, but I try to really focus out there, and I assert more opinions than I ask questions. And this is something that we've been working on. You know, my coaches have said, Troy, you need to start asking more and more questions. To be that effective communicator that you want to be, ask those hard questions. Cause people to reach deep into themselves to find the answers. And you know, when you do that, the sky's the limit. Okay, many of us, this is what they write, many of us are tempted to try to illuminate the way with a floodlight powered by our own blazing assertions. We want so badly to lead quickly to find those answers that we want to provide, not that's needed by the individual. See, this is the key. Now listen to this. In this, we see that the heart of Jesus' questions was a simple driving purpose: to be prepared. You know, he said, I came back to save the world, not to condemn the world. He wanted people to be ready. You know, that was the key. He sought to ready his listeners for something profound, something deep and satisfying, setting the stage for a transformation. Now listen, it is impossible to force people to think or act or believe a certain way. We can't do that. So and this is why I've caught myself, this is what's so great. Anytime that you're doing a training, most of the time it's the teacher that needs the training. And that's what I've caught myself going back and reading this book. See, it's not about me asserting myself. It's about asking very powerful questions, because I have to understand always that it's impossible for me to force people to think, act, or believe in a certain way. People are going to believe the way they want to. The guy's right, and I picked this up. Effective communication can prepare your listeners. It can remove obstacles, erect some signposts, and hand them a compass. This is what your communication should be doing. The journey from thought to action, from ear to hand, from listening to responding, is your listeners alone. Your job is to help them along the way. You know, Dondi Scamanci is probably one of the greatest at that. She's just dynamic at the way she communicates, and I love her for it. But this is the key. You know, you got to look at the questions, and this is some of the questions that Jesus asked. He asked sincere questions. And when you're out there communicating, you need to ask those sincere questions. Jesus always attuned to the uniqueness of each situation, so his questions were focused on the situation at hand, and I love that. It says Jesus's questions fit the audience. You know, you'll ask different questions maybe to brand new distributors in a network marketing company than you would to the CEOs of a network marketing company. Jesus's questions were always decisively clarifying. There was no problem knowing what he was asking, and I think that's phenomenal. That's what we have to do. So as we go into this Easter weekend, you know, it's Good Friday on this recording right here. I want you guys to think about how can I be that communicator I want to be? You know, how can I make it to where people start to understand the questions that I'm asking? And I think that the best way to do that is what Jesus did when he was asking questions. He provided space for his audience to decide. Do I want to follow? Do I want to lead? Do I want to listen? Do I want to move forward? That's the kicker right there. Guys, I want you to think about that. Ask the right questions. Analyze if you're asking questions. If you ask questions, then you've got to shut up and listen to what those answers are. And listening is very important when you're trying to influence people that are following you. Folks, have a great Easter. I mean, truly celebrate it the way it's supposed to be celebrated. Live life like it's an epic adventure, and we will see you next time on Troy's Coffee Morning Reflections.